With Rolex's crazy price increases to start 2025, I wanted to go over the top Rolex models you can buy for under their current retail price. So let's get right into it. So Rolex's incredible decision to dramatically increase retail prices, especially for their precious model pieces, specifically in the Daytona range, was just incredible. It really is an incredible decision to raise retail price in some cases as much as 14%, which is just kind of flabbergasting. The effect of that is that a lot of especially solid gold pieces now from Rolex are actually going to be trading at or under retail, which is just crazy to think about. And we're definitely going to see just how strong the Rolex brand is, considering a lot of those kind of harder to get pieces are now trading at list. And of course, those kind of watches are many of the watches that they were using to kind of supplement, the availability or the lack of availability rather of steel and two-tone models from the sports professional line are definitely going to be affected. So let's just see how Rolex is, of course, going to answer the call. It'll be very, very interesting, especially if we look at, for example, our first model line, and that is the Rolex Submariner. Now, of course, you're not getting a steel Submariner under retail, but there is the potential, for example, to get a two-tone black reference number 126613 LN under the current retail price if you're looking at, for example, a pre-owned example. And the same can be said for a two-tone bluesy, whose retail, I believe now, is right around the $17,500 price range, which if you calculate the price out the door, you're going to be looking at well over the $18,000 price point, which again, you can get for the most part, a pre-owned older year example under its current retail price. It's crazy to think about two-tone bluesy, not an easy watch to get. And of course, if you look back at even, for example, the 40 millimeter, the reference 116613 LB, you're looking at an even steeper discount, something that you could pick up, generally speaking, under the $13,000 price range. So yeah, a lot of price action there, especially in the two tones, but really what has been affected the most, of course, are the solid gold models. If you take a look, for example, at the white gold Submariner, the reference 126619 LB, it is without question one of the least popular gold wristwatches from Rolex. I mean, this is a watch that retails currently for $46,600 and carries a current market price of about $33,000. We're talking about $13,000 off, generally speaking, for a brand new example of this reference off on the secondary market that you can purchase it from. It's a huge, steep increase of the retail price of this watch, and it definitely is going to affect the secondary market price, especially considering this is already a pretty soft model in terms of its resale. Now, if we're looking also at the bluesy and the all black gold Submariners, those are also trading under its current retail price. So for example, the all gold bluesy, the reference 126618 LB, has a current retail price of $43,500, where you can pick these up right around the $39,000 price range for a brand new, again, 2024 brand new example. And of course, if you're looking at pre-owned, you're going to be looking at a cheaper price, slightly in the 38 or less kind of price range. And for the all black model, again, it carries the same $43,500 retail price, but you're going to be looking at a price point for a brand new 2024 example right around the $37,000 price range. And again, if you're looking pre-owned, you can even potentially get it much lower than that. So again, crazy to think about Submariner being one of the best-selling, most iconic model lines from Rolex, but when it comes to the gold models especially, we're looking at some pretty considerable discounts overall, especially considering the overall popularity of the watch. Next up is the Rolex Yacht-Master. Now, of course, again, I'm going to preface this by saying you're not picking up a titanium Yacht-Master under its current retail price anytime soon, just given the overall popularity of it. But pretty much every other Yacht-Master is available now on the secondary market for under its retail price, be it the pave dials or, for example, the rose gold or the yellow gold or even the white gold Oyster Flex models. Generally speaking, you can pick all of these up under their retail pricing. So starting off with the rose gold example, the reference 126655, if we're taking a look at its retail prices, it currently retails for around $32,100, where the market for a brand new example is going to be at most $30,000 for it. Secondly is, of course, going to be the white gold, the 226659, which trades currently in terms of retail pricing at $34,000, really high, significantly more actually than the rose gold model, just because, of course, it is 2 millimeters bigger. Technically, there's more gold. But this is a watch that carries a market price at the absolute most you're going to be paying for it for a brand new 2024 example for around the $29,000 price range. But yeah, Rolex Yacht-Master, another model line that's definitely been affected by the Rolex overall price increases. And it's funny to see that the overall popularity hasn't increased despite the release of the titanium Yacht-Master. That was a stunning release, of course, an amazing wristwatch to wear on a day-to-day basis. I even like the 42mm case size, although generally I'm not a huge fan of those kind of watches. It actually wears pretty well on wrist. But it's crazy to see that the Yacht-Master just wasn't affected in terms of overall popularity. And I always felt this was a model line that was really underrated just because overall it just wears really well. The proportions are great. The look is actually kind of like a souped up Submariner to a certain degree. And yeah, I just feel overall it is a great looking wristwatch. Now, if you're looking at the steel examples, they are still going to trade slightly over retail, but if you're looking at pre-owned examples or even previous generation, generally speaking, you can get them well under their retail pricing. So yeah, you can get a steel with a platinum bezel like blue or gray dial. In the older generation, the 116 references under the current retail price. The blue and the gray are still going to trade slightly over, but the premium honestly is maybe 10 or 15% at this point. It really isn't all that big. All things considered, considering it's just, again, not a watch that you're going to walk into your AD and just pick up readily. Now let's take a look at my personal favorite line, and that is the GMT-Master 2. Again, another model line you're probably not going to pick up a steel or two-tone example for under its current retail pricing, but I would honestly tell people to be a little bit careful in terms of their overall buying. When you're looking at, for example, a two-tone rupiah or the two-tone yellow gold GRNR, for example, both of these watches, although they do trade over retail, right now, given the current retail pricing, the kind of discrepancy you're going to pay retail plus tax, when you go to sell it on the secondary market, you're actually not going to get that big of a premium, if at all, when you're actually going to resell it. That kind of gap between the buy and the sell on the secondary market has really closed to where you're pretty much getting what you paid out of it at retail. And again, this is kind of a favor watch, right? It's a watch that you're not walking in and getting from your AD. They're actually kind of doing you a favor by selling this watch. So I would just take that into consideration if you are going to add it into your wish list and of course want to use it maybe to leverage other pieces. Maybe it's not the best to get a two-tone GMT anymore. Now, of course, the steel Pepsi, Batman, Bruce Wayne, and also, of course, the lefty GMT are all trading, significantly over retail, where the retail's like right around the $10,000 or $11,000 price range, and you're going to pick these up, at the very least in the $15,000 to $16,000+ price range, depending on the model and condition and contents, all that kind of good stuff. But where you really find the discounts and the bargains are going to be the white gold and the yellow gold, and of course the full rose gold rupiah examples. So let's take a look at, first of all, the white gold GMTs. The meteorite GMT is still trading at a premium, but honestly that premium is not so great anymore. Considering this is a watch that retails for $47,900, you're looking in most cases out the door price point of around $50,000, where essentially that's pretty much the price now for a 2022 or 2023 meteorite GMT. And the cool thing is you actually have the ability to pick what dial you get, because on the secondary market you have that luxury of choice, whereas if you're getting it from an AD, for example, you really just get what you get. Now, of course, also it's crazy to think about just how much kind of spend history you have to get a meteorite GMT from a Rolex authorized dealer. If I had to estimate, it's got to be well in excess of $150,000 to $200,000, which now for a watch carries basically no premium for kind of an older year example. Again, crazy to think about, but these price hikes have really affected, especially the solid gold GMT-Master 2 line. Now, if you look also at its counterpart, the 126719 BLRO with the blue dial, this is a watch that currently retails for $45,200, so slightly less than the meteorite GMT, but carries a current market price of $38,000, a $7,000 discount for a brand new 2024 example. And of course, if you're looking at an older model year, you're looking at even steeper discounts than that. So it's crazy to think about GMT, Pepsi in white gold trading at such a significant discount, and even the meteorite really having no more premium anymore. Of course, if you're looking at, for example, the GRNR in full yellow gold or the two-tone rupiah, both of these now will be trading right around retail for the GRNR and definitely under retail when it comes to the full gold rupiah. When it comes to the full gold rupiah, the reference 126715 CHNR, this is a watch that retails for $45,200 and carries a current market price, if you're looking at a brand new 2024 example, around $39,000, but you're going to pay significantly less for something of an older model year because they have been making this for quite a long time. When it comes to the GRNR, they've been making it for a lot less time, the reference 126718 GRNR, and this is a watch that carries a current retail price rather of $43,300, and you're going to pay around $40,000 for a brand new example. And of course, it's a sliding scale. You're going to pay a lot less if it's an older pre-owned example. So again, GMT-Master 2 model line, despite just how much, of course, demand it has particularly on the secondary market and just overall as a model line within Rolex. The solid gold GMTs just don't carry the premiums that they did anymore. Pretty much every single one trades under retail other than the Meteorite Pepsi. But again, this is the one where the gap between the buy and the sell really means you're getting essentially what you paid for out the door from Rolex. And if you sell it to a dealer, probably even slightly less than the current retail price after tax. Now, if you're going to look at two-tone, again, this is an example where if you're looking at the gap between the buy and the sell, you're looking at a potential loss at retail if you pay the after-tax out-the-door price from an AD. But of course, the steel GMTs is really where the model line shines, and all of these are still trading over list. Now let's take a look at probably the most surprising model line of all, and that is the one that had the biggest price hike in terms of its retail pricing increase, and that is the Rolex Daytona, specifically in precious metal. Now, if you're looking at the steel Daytonas, again, obviously these are still going to be trading well over their list price. In two-tone, there is a premium, although it isn't that significant, to be quite honest with you. Again, the gap between the buy and the sell is closing pretty quickly on the secondary market, to the point where, honestly speaking, it's not that worth it to get a brand new reference two-tone Daytona anymore, like it used to be. But really the big shocker, I would say, is the full gold models. I mean, if you're looking at, for example, a full rose gold Daytona reference 126505, this is a watch that carries, depending of course on the model, a retail of roughly $50,500. Let's just take the simple black with the Sundust subdials, for example, just for ease of use. So a watch that currently retails for $50,500, and you're going to pick it up on the secondary market for under its retail price, right around the $48,000 to $49,000 price range, which is just crazy to think about. A full gold Daytona in rose gold trading for under list. In fact, the only rose gold Daytona that I know of, full rose gold, that's trading over list is the Sundust dial with the black subdials. That's the only one that I really know of. Otherwise, even for example, a 12650 with the Paul Newman dial is going to trade right at retail. Its retail being $47,000, where its market is $47,000. So again, a watch that has really no more profit in it if you're going to flip that watch if you're purchasing it new at retail. Now, the only remaining full yellow gold Daytonas that are still trading over list are the full yellow gold Pikachu, and as I mentioned, the rose gold with the Sundust dial, and of course the Oyster Flex models, which are still holding strong. Generally speaking, because the price point is a little lower, around the $38,000 price range, again, depending on the metal and of course the model. But just crazy to think about that the gap between the buy and the sell, because of the retail price increase of the full gold Daytonas, it just isn't even worth, for the most part, picking up a full gold Daytona at Rolex anymore if your intention is to actually flip it on the secondary market. One thing I've been saying is we'll see the strength of Rolex as a brand just based on this, considering their most popular model line, the Rolex Daytona, is not trading at the strength that it used to have before, and all of these super in demand, hard to get wristwatches just don't carry the premium at all and are potentially even looking at a loss when selling them on the secondary market. Now, last but certainly not least, I have to mention the flagship model, which is the Rolex Date-8. Now, of course, there's three references: the 228-235, the 228-238 in yellow gold, and of course the 228-239 in white gold that I'm particularly going to hone in on. The platinum models, depending on the dial, but generally if we're talking the ice blue dial with a fluted bezel, these will still trade over retail on the secondary market, so it is still worth getting them from your authorized dealer. However, for the most part, most rose gold Rolex Date-8s just don't trade at a big premium anymore. If you're looking at, for example, a 228-238, the retail is $43,000 plus tax, and you're going to pick them up on the secondary market, depending on the dial condition, all that kind of good stuff. But for the most part, a 2024, let's say a white Roman, or for example, a silver dial, you're going to pick them up at around $44,000 or less, right? So out the door price is going to be right around the same as you would pay new at retail. A 228-235, other than the Sundust dial, maybe the chocolate baguette also is trading over list, but for the most part, all of these are trading under list, particularly in the chocolate dial, just because the current retail price is now $46,300. That's really, really expensive, where it was previously $43,000, a huge price increase overall. And last but certainly not least is the 228-239, that is the white gold Date-8, which also carries a retail price of $46,300, and now pretty much all of them sell under retail. Actually, as a matter of fact, before this retail price increase, you could pick up the blue ombre, which is the new release for the most part around the $46,000 to $48,000 price range, where now you're pretty much going to get it, for around the same price. $46,000 to $48,000 is kind of the, generally speaking, the market price of it. And again, that's its current retail price. This is a brand new day-date that is super popular on the at least on the secondary market, in terms of just general popularity from customers. And yet there's just no more premium in that wristwatch. And when you look at across the model line, there's just no more premium in these watches. You could pick almost every single dial variant of a white gold day-date under retail nowadays, even in brand new 2024 condition. So again, I think what to take away from this video is we will definitely see the strength of the Rolex brand, considering a number of their most popular model lines, the hardest to get watches out there from Rolex, the Daytonas, the GMTs, and of course the Submariners, be it in full gold and two-tone, or of course, even in some cases in stainless steel, where the premium just isn't worth getting at retail anymore and playing the AD games. We'll just see how well Rolex can kind of cope with that lack of just resale value, generally speaking. Now, will the market tick up as a result of these retail price increases? It's really hard to say. I think if we were to see a price increase on the secondary market, especially a market price increase of these, we would have to really see the demand for these watches increase as well. Just because the retail prices go up doesn't mean that the secondary market prices will follow. Usually speaking, these two don't really correlate, but Rolex, of course, is in kind of its own bubble, so we'll see how the secondary market reacts as a result of these price increases. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below of these crazy price increases from Rolex. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this in the future. My name is Marco for the Burdines Jewelry YouTube channel. I really appreciate all your support and hope to see you in the next one.